Hey guys, how's it going again? Well, I got off a little early today. It's Friday, so it's maybe going to be a little bit quieter. We're still going to hear some traffic coming down Main Street here. But I thought I would do a video about this car. This is this 2000 Q45 that I've owned since February. It's the second one of these I've owned. I had a 98 that you saw in some videos. I bought it a couple years ago and drove it for about a year, and I sold it. And this is not really much of a review on this car. It's not intended to be, but you guys periodically hear me talk about cars that I have, and I'll say, well, I may sell that, I may sell this, I may whatever. And I've mentioned maybe a time or two that I've considered selling this car, so I wanted to elaborate on that and tell you a little bit about what I think about this car, but not so much what you may expect. Like I said, it's not really a physical review of this car, but it's going to be more of a the way I feel about this car. And it almost sounds like a romantic story or something, but it sure ain't going to be one. Just basically though, just to tell you how much I've liked it or disliked it and what I've liked about it. And like I said, I think it'll be a little bit different from what you're expecting. But the one thing about this car and the one before it, that as long as I've owned either one of them, which is about 2 years total between the two of them, has been that this car, for whatever reason, seems to bring out the worst in both people around me and myself, as far as being the driver and then people driving other cars. And I don't quite understand that. I don't know if it's its color. This one's black, the other one was, hang on, sorry about that, somebody rode by with some jungle music playing, so I didn't want that to pick up on YouTube. But anyway, I don't know, this one's black and the other one was a real dark green, which that always annoyed me because people called it blacks. It was not black, cars green. But I don't know if it's his color or it's just the way it's designed, its appearance, the way it looks when you're next to it or something, if it looks like it's a faster car than it is. I don't know what it is, but the whole time I've owned either one of these, I've just noticed that if I drive this car the same way I would drive like this pickup or something maybe like that, if I was driving that little Fusion or something, the Mazda, whatever else I've had, I've noticed if I drive this car the exact same way, like in traffic and out on the highway, on the interstate, that I get drastically different reactions from the people that are around me driving in their other vehicles. I don't know. I don't have a clue to explain that, but where most everything else that I've had with the truck and the cars and stuff like that, it seems like when I'm driving in traffic that everybody's just kind of calm and laid back and nobody's really trying to jockey for position or anything like that. It seems like the exact opposite is the case with this car. And it's, you know, really it's not that I'm a slow driver or a fast driver or aggressive myself most of the time, but I just noticed, you know, like I can take off from an intersection when the light turns green, and I'll notice where the truck or the other cars or something, that everybody's just kind of cruising along beside each other and nobody's, you know, really giving her hell. That in this car, I can take off and I won't get out of second gear before I'll notice the person in the left lane or the right lane or both of them just take off and, you know, just try to leave me, I guess. And you know, and I have people behind me, they'll tailgate me to death in this car, and they don't do it in the truck, and they didn't do it in the other cars. But this car and the other one I had, both of these Q45's, they just tailgate the shit out of me, and I don't like that. That makes me a little nervous because I've been rear-ended 3 or 4 times, and I just don't like people right behind me. So what starts happening is I don't like doing that. But what starts happening is that I start driving a little faster and a little faster and a little faster, and I'll be dadgum if people have not. I've just sped up and sped up and sped up on the interstate, and I've had people driving 90 and 95 miles an hour, either trying to keep up with me or pass me or do something. I don't know what the hell they're doing. I wish somebody could explain that. You know, and none of that happens with that pickup. I can drive it at 70 You know, if the speed limit on the interstate is 70, I can drive it at 75 for miles and miles and miles, and I won't have one or two people pass me, or if they do, they get, you know, they get in the left lane way behind me and just go on, you know. But this one, they will just stay right on my bumper the whole time. And then, I mean, just as soon as there's an opening, they'll just, you know. And so I don't get that, and that kind of creates a stressful environment when you're driving. And another thing, you know, too, this car actually, for being a luxury car, I know a couple of y'all have these cars, and I don't know what your impression of it is, but this one's always been to me that, you know, this car is like being pulled in two different directions, if that makes any sense. It's like it's a luxury car that's not, to me, it's not so, it doesn't give the impression of being that luxurious of a car. I mean, it's got leather, it's got wood, it's got a lot of features and stuff, but, you know, it rides stiffly, and it's kind of noisy, and it's got a lot more of a Maxima vibe to it. It strikes me as a V8 powered rear-wheel drive Maxima, not really like a Cadillac or a Lincoln or something like that. I just don't get the same impression out of it. And at the same time, it also gives you a kind of an impression of trying to be a sporty car. It's got a V8 in it, and you know, but there again, at the same time, it's pretty fast, but you know, it's a small V8, it's not very torquey, so you're always, you know, even though it's capable of running 140 miles an hour pretty easy with enough road, you know, it's a small V8, and it seems like you're always really having to kind of flog it to keep it moving pretty fast. So you don't have this, like the truck has got that big V8 in it, relatively big V8, and a lot of low-end torque, and that one you just, you know, you hit the gas pretty easy and off you go. And this one's just not the same impression, man. It's like there's just not much there down low, so you're always having to, you know, if you're in the situation that you need to take off pretty fast, I mean, you have to wind this thing out a lot, and so it just does not come back as to me, like a big V8 powered luxury car. I don't know, something's just not, I've never cared for that. Something's just not playing good there. And this car, for whatever reason, has had a little bit of a glitch in it since I've owned it. I guess I've put about 25,000 miles on this one, and it's always had like a little bit of a sag or a hesitation or something at about 15 or 16, 1700 RPM that it kind of has to work through, and then it takes off. And so when you take off from a stoplight or whatever, you know, you take off, and then it's kind of laying down a little bit, and you have to give it more gas to get it to go, and then all of a sudden as the RPMs build up, you really start moving, and you have to let off of it. So it's just never a smooth, you know, I keep comparing and contrasting, like the truck, you know, it just idles around at low RPM, and you know, there's just no effort to take off from lights or anything with it. And this one is just like, you know, it seems to me like 70% of the time you're always working this car pretty hard to go anywhere in it. And that sounds silly. Like I said, you say, well, look at me leaning on the tree. It says, you know, it's a V8 powered car. It shouldn't be like that. Well, like I said, it shouldn't be, but that's a small V8. That's a 4.1 liter V8. And the damn thing will turn 6,500 RPM. So, you know, a small V8, high RPM V8 is just, to me, in a car like this, it does not have enough torque to make it come across as a hugely powerful car. So there's a random driver looking down the cul-de-sac down there. She don't know where she be. So that's kind of a strike against it. You know, this car would be a lot more fun with a 5-speed or a 6-speed manual in it, or maybe an automatic with more gears in it, where it didn't have such a drop between gear changes as the 4-speed. It's basically the same 4-speed used in like a Pathfinder or something like that, and it's not the smoothest transmission there either. And you know, the funny thing about that, talking about that glitch or whatever, you know, I've worked on this various times to try to resolve that, and it's a, whatever it is, it's not going to be chased out easily. So I've just lived with it. And I thought, well, you know, it's gonna show itself pretty bad sometime. It's gonna quit, and that's gonna be it, and we're gonna find out what's wrong with it the whole time. No, it's just went everywhere in it, out of state, thousands and thousands of miles, never gets worse, never changes, never quits running, never stalls. You know, that doggone Volvo, that's the difference between a European car and a Japanese car. That Volvo would quit, would give no warning, and strand you on the side of the road all of a sudden. And this thing, you keep waiting on it to quit, and it never does. So, hang on again. So, yeah, that's there's a lady walking down the street there. I didn't want to be out here yakking. What's that guy talking to himself for? So, you know, this, like I said, this, I've said this in passing a couple different times. I don't know if I've said it on videos or not, but I think I've run my course on these cars, and they're good cars. I mean, they're not, you know, they're a reliable thing, that's for sure. They're a tank. But, you know, you just have to like them to want one, and it's not been expensive to repair. It's not been unreliable, you know. These things just run and run and run and run. And they don't hardly have any resale value, because people have heard from somebody that knew somebody that had an Infinity, and oh, it was hard to fix or it was expensive. That's bull crap. Not on these. So, but that's kind of where it's at for me. When I've talked about that, there again, like I said, if I'm talking about that, you know, I've run my course. That's why I've just never really felt very comfortable driving these cars. You know, it's just not. It's not a relaxed experience to me, and it brings out the worst in people and in me, you know. And I'm talking about that. You know, this car, you ever seen that cartoon that's got somebody and they got the two little imps sitting on their shoulders? They got one that's got a halo around him on one side, and one's got like the devil's got a pitchfork and horns on the other one, you know. Bad guy, good guy. And Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and that's kind of like this car is. You know, this thing, it kind of, you know, none of us need to be out driving, you know, in a manner that's going to endanger people's lives. And this car, at times, is prompted. I think it not only does it prompt other people to react in some strange way like that, but it has me also, and I'll concede that. I've actually, you know, there's been a video or two up, there's me, that have, you know, I've been just driving faster than I should, and that's kind of what this thing does. It seems like there's always a motivation in driving this car, at least for me, that, you know, the little devil, he's saying, come on, go faster, speed up a little bit, go faster. You know you want to. Come on, step on that gas. It's not fast enough. Let's go, 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 go. Speed it up. Go faster. You know, I'm not kidding about that. You know, I tell you what, something happened the other day just kind of reinforced it. I was going somewhere, and it was a rainy day, and we finally got some rain out here after like 2 months of a drought. But I was going somewhere, and I was climbing this mountain, and there was a Camry in the right lane, and I was in the left lane, and I'd been next to him at an intersection at the bottom of the hill, and I took off and went, and I wasn't really speeding or anything. I was just driving pretty normal because it was raining, and there was traffic on up the mountain in the right lane, and I was overtaking them, and he was gonna, you know, either have to, well, what he normally would have done was have to get behind me and follow me up the mountain to get out from the right lane. And that, you know, that's the thing, I was already going a little bit over the speed limit, and it wasn't like I was just poking along. And, you know, he starts speeding up and coming up behind me in the right lane, and, you know, normally, you know, you think, well, if I was in the truck, I would have, I don't care what you're doing, go on, you know. But I don't know, it seems like this car, you're always reminded that you got that power there, which the truck is rated at the same horsepower this car is, but it doesn't, you know, it doesn't run like this car does. So I thought, I'm going to have a little fun with this guy. So I sped up a little bit, you know, and he's, like I said, there's a 4-cylinder Camry, about a 05 or 6, you know, and so he falls back a little bit. And so I was a dude driving, so, you know, I guess he figured that he wasn't, even though he's in the right lane and he's not supposed to be passing somebody in that lane, you know, I guess he thought, well, he's just not going to take that, not from this car. So he waits just a little bit, and then I see him really start coming. He kicks it in the butt, you know. And so I thought, I'm going to mess with you again. So I just tromped it. And off I went, and he didn't even stand a chance of getting around me then. You know, no, he wasn't even really close. I mean, it wasn't like he's right beside me or something. He was back 3, 4, 5, 6 car lengths. So I got on and went on to the top and, you know, got in the right lane. I'm just driving normally on down through there, and he's back there, and I didn't pay much attention to it, and I was going to get ready to stop and get some gas and put on my blinker and got where I was ready to turn. And by that time, he'd went on past me, and he got up to about where that white house is up there, and I saw him he jumped over in the right lane and put his blinker on and swooped into like a parking lot of this place that wasn't open for business that time of day, and started making a U-turn. I thought, oh hell no, you're not going to come back here and have words with me, buddy. So I whipped in there, you know. By the time I saw him heading back that way, I whipped it back out on the road and tromped it again, and off I went. I was gone. You know, that's the thing. Like I said, I don't understand what this car's bringing out in everybody. That's such bad behavior or something like that. You know, if you get passed on the road, you know, guys, take no as no. If you don't have enough power to pass the car that you're trying to get around, just deal with it. You know, even if it's like me that was being a little bit ugly about it, you know, you should be better than I am. You know, if I'm doing crap like that, you shouldn't be so upset about it that you're gonna like think, well, I'll just go back and see if I can start an argument with this guy, or what if he had a gun or something. You know, I've known people before that had somebody try to chase them down like that, and that's one reason I like a car like this, because there's not a whole lot of cars out here now that can keep up with this car if it came down to it. If I had to escape some situation like that, you know, if you can run 145 miles an hour, then okay, but if you can't, I'm gone. So I wasn't going to deal with that guy. And, you know, there again, like I said, people, what is it? I mean, people don't seem to, I mean, if I've passed you, and even if I'm being kind of a smart aleck, you know, I wasn't trying to threaten him or run him off the road or anything like that. Wasn't driving, you know, I didn't come over in his lane. I just stayed ahead of him. And so, you know, that's it. Everybody goes on their separate ways after that. There's no discussion needs to happen between me and that guy, whoever that guy is, because, you know, hey, I got your license number. And if you do anything against me, we'll have a discussion with the police. How about that? So, anyway, like I said, stuff like that never happens with that truck, and that's what's always kind of making me uncomfortable with this car. It's just, you know, I don't know if you call this car the devil car, but it's just kind of, that's why I was saying, you know, I wanted something with a 4-cylinder that's just more pedestrian, that doesn't bring that out in people. A little silver 4-cylinder car, that's fine with me. You know, I don't know, I may drive that car 3 months and not like it, but I've had enough of this. I've had enough of this car, these cars. Like I said, they're not bad cars, but just, nah, I've had my fill of it. It's too, I don't know, something about this thing I just don't care much for. Alright guys, well, I've got to do some more cleaning on the fusion over here, so I'm going to do that now, and I will see you guys down the road. Be careful. See ya.